Taking positions on the arrest of Suresh Kalmadi tonight, Hitesh Jain is Kalmadi's lawyer live from Delhi. And Rahul Mehra, a Supreme Court lawyer, well-known activist, the person who has been pushing for action against Suresh Kalmadi. We are asking multiple questions tonight. They'll be there at the bottom of your screen. My first question is this. Mr. Jain, you continued to try and deny this afternoon that your client had been arrested. Were you told by Suresh Kalmadi to keep denying till it happened?
Well, actually speaking, I've seen the memo of the arrest, and memo of arrest clearly stated that he has been arrested at 4:30. So therefore, all the news that he was arrested at 11:30 and 12 were naturally not correct news. I mean, they were false. I mean, so long as he is not arrested and he is not informed about his arrest, and the memo of arrest clearly stated that he has been arrested at 4:30 in the evening.
Sure, let's not get caught in procedure. Now, today's arrest is on the Swiss Time scam. Then there is the overlay scam. There is the AM film scam. There are many multiple scams that your client is involved in. Are you convinced tonight that he has any more legroom left legally? Because he has been surviving on the basis of political support so far. That has run out tonight, Mr. Jain.
Well, we will present our defense before the court. Whatever the facts we have stated before the CBI, and we will place the matter before the court. So whatever the defense, ultimately the court will have to consider all the evidence.
No, you are giving me a very technical reply. You are a lawyer. You are acquainted with the facts of the case. And I'd like you to argue on the basis of the merits of the case. We know the procedure.
Well, frankly speaking, I would like to reserve the arguments for the court and not before the camera, because
but what is your principal argument?
All the matters before the court.
What is your principal argument?
Well, we will. That also will place first. The first burden is upon the CBI. The burden is upon them to first place before the courts as to what are the grounds on which they will demand the custody. Let's first cross that hurdle, and depending upon that, how the court will take they will decide the next course of action.
Seeing a guarded response, Rahul Mehra, legally, Mr. Jain's position is right. He says, I'm going to give the details when we argue the case. What's the legroom Mr. Jain has?
Well, going by the past of what CBI has been doing in the CWG scams, it is absolutely clear that CBI, first of all, gave Mr. Kalmadi 11 months to take care of all the documents, to ensure that there is not an iota of evidence against him. And I fail to understand what has happened overnight. What is the clinching evidence that CBI has got, other than probably the patronage or the time running out against Mr. Kalmadi and his friends who were occupying positions of power, not remaining his friends anymore. I don't see that there could be anything else which could have been there against Mr. Kalmadi. So when in July of 2010, much before the Commonwealth Games, I think that was the time, if the government at all was serious about doing something, that he should have been removed, as was the call of the nation. And we were told at that point in time that Mr. Kalmadi was indisposable, a person who could not be replaced. If he's a person who could not be replaced, then how is it that and the entire body was supposed to be crumbling down, and the Commonwealth Games could not have been held? How is it that the operations of IOA today are being conducted? I would urge the Honourable Sports Minister, who was there a little while earlier on your show, that there is nothing that and I hold him in very high esteem. There is nothing that the government needs to do.
Okay, now here's my question.
Just de-recognize them temporarily, give them a suspension order, and tell them that you have run against time. We don't want a tainted person.
Right.
And create an ad hoc body to cleanse the entire mess.
Now I want to ask Mr. Jain. Mr. Jain, you have given you a second opportunity tonight to reply to any of the points made by Rahul Mehra. Otherwise, I have a question for you.
Well, I do not want to refute any points of Mr. Rahul Mehra. I mean, he has stated his view on the whole episode. But one point that needs to be considered is see, we can all demand, we can talk about the arrest and all, but ultimately it is for the CBI to make a case tomorrow as to what are the grounds they have after a belated 16 months to seek the custodial interrogation of Mr. Kalmadi.
I have a question for you. Consider the situation, Mr. Jain, that there is the situation, I'm not referring to any particular scam, but there is a contract over 100 crores, and you have the expression of interest which is published saying only one company meets the criteria, and you know that this is after amending a lot of things, and also ensuring that another company is wrongfully eliminated at the pre-qualification stage, so you are left with only one company. In that situation, and in a situation in which then you go around asking the officers, how did this happen? The officers say, whatever we did was cleared by the entire executive board of a particular organization which carries out this kind of discrepancy. Would you still defend the person who is heading that executive committee for carrying all of this out? What's the line of defense? Yes.
To put the facts in the perspective, in November, when an anonymous complaint was received precisely in the TSR contract case, what Mr. Kalmadi has stated to the CBI is that when he heard all the views and he placed the matter before Minister of Youth and Sports Affairs, and he says whatever decision you will take will be final and binding on me. So ultimately he had asked the Ministry of Youth and Sports Affairs to intervene and take the decision in this particular case as to whether who
So
should
you are
be
saying it is MS Gill who was taking the decisions
contract.
there. So you know what, that's important. You are saying MS Gill was taking the decisions there. Rahul wants to respond. Yes, Rahul.
In this case,
yes,
in the TSR case,
this is a
it was Minister of Youth and Sports Affairs.
Obviously, fingers are going to be pointed at everybody else. Mr. Kalmadi's biggest defense is going to be, which I'm sure he's going to take, is that there were 31 other people on the organizing committee. He was simply a father figure, a kind of a head out there, but powers were delegated to everybody else. But if you see the composition of the organizing committee, all those people who were there on the on various bodies of the organizing committee, and I can give you a very apt example. The legal cell was headed by a crony of Mr. Kalmadi who did not know ABC of law. He wasn't a lawyer, but he was heading the legal cell, and so on and so forth in every other committee. So hand-picked individuals who would take him as a dictator, who would toe his line,
no, that's
who
not the
would
point
not
Mr.
even
Jain
question him as to why the delays occurred for 6 years. And the delay were very intelligently orchestrated, simply because at the end of the day, the government would be left with no time. The government would like to save a shame being bestowed on the nation.
Rahul,
will step in at the last moment. They will inflate their entire tenders, and they will be able to dole out, and
Rahul,
take commissions.
1 minute, Rahul.
Illegally.
1 minute, Rahul. 1 minute. 1 minute. I think, the attempt has always been, Mr. Jain, of Suresh Kalmadi to drag in everyone possible. And there has been this sort of indirect threat that he's given out, you get me, I'll get all of you down, including people in the government, including other people, Delhi government, etc. That's the point of view that even his cronies like Lalit Banot had been putting out. But today what the CBI said, Mr. Jain. The CBI has said very clearly, very, very clearly, that eligible firms were wrongfully eliminated at the pre-qualification stage. It has not bought Suresh Kalmadi's argument, not bought his crony's argument. That's been rejected by the CBI today.
Well, that is CBI's point of view, and we will certainly reply that before the court tomorrow.
Okay, Mr. Jain, you're putting your point of view tonight?
Or no?
Yes, no? Okay. If you have a specific question, otherwise I move on. You have a specific question for Mr. Jain, who's representing Suresh Kalmadi?
What is probably going to happen is that the court will have to look into the aspect of whether if it releases Suresh Kalmadi on bail,
yes,
whether he's going to be tampering with evidence, whether he is in a position of influencing key witnesses, whether investigation it has a crucial stage where more things need to be brought out by the CBI, and also what is the seriousness of the case. So I don't see Mr. Jain is against the uphill task. I wish him all the best, but I don't see
okay, your point is taken.
Much coming out of it.
Mr. Jain, Rahul Mehra is making a strong case for the continued detention of your client. I'd like you to quickly respond to that before I wrap up.
Well, I will again certainly like to respond that in the court as and when if CBI will make that argument.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on Debate 1.